Hello and welcome to the Jeep Wrangler 4xe. It's not 4xe as I was initially calling it, it's 4xe, and 4xe means this one is electrified. This is the Jeep Wrangler plug-in hybrid. And I've put it to the test this week. I've had it for a week and I've put over 1,000 miles on it. I took a little road trip with my family and I'm happy to report that the Jeep Wrangler 4xe is good. So first things first, let's talk about the outside of it. It's a Wrangler. It's shaped like a brick. It's a good looking brick, but it is a brick nonetheless. Where you're going to be able to tell that is the 4xe is by initially some blue accents. There's blue tow hooks. This is a Rubicon model with blue outlining of the words Rubicon on the side. There's a 4xe badge in the back, another blue tow hook. There's even a 4xe decal on the hood, but most notably on the outside, just forward of the driver's side window, is a plug-in port. It looks like a little wart, but it's there. It's not too bad, but it does stick out a little bit. It is noticeable, but that is where you plug in to charge this. It's on the same side as the driver's side fuel filler for the gas, which is in the back. But on the outside, Rubicon, KO2s, nice suspension, underbody protection, all the good stuff. Inside, there is a little bit of blue stitching to highlight the 4xe model. You've got blue stitching on the Rubicon lettering. There's blue stitching on the dash panel, around the steering wheel, around both shift levers, for four-wheel drive and gear selector, and the e-brake itself on the center console. There's a little bit of blue stitching everywhere. It's a nice little touch to let you know that it is a 4e. Now, on the center console here, you're going to see some changes. So there's the normal buttons, then there's one at the end called E-Hybrid. This shows you the drive mode that you're in. It shows you the power going to from the engine, power going to from the battery, and the draw that maybe the climate control is pulling on the battery itself. Right now the climate control, because the AC is on, is pulling 1 kilowatt. It's pulling 1 kilowatt of power. So you can look at the power flow. You can look at your driving history. You can see I had 2 long pulls in this one. Charging schedule, e-save mode, blah, blah, blah. So now the rest of this looks the same. Nice big Uconnect screen, all that good stuff. You have off-road pages, which still take a fortnight to load, but once they load, they're really nice. There's a different button down here in the right below the climate control next to the traction control button. It's a blue battery. You press that, it puts it into max regen mode. Down here on the left, next to the button to open the fuel tank, are 3 buttons: hybrid, electric, and save. Hybrid mode is the default mode, and that pause the music. That just optimally switches between gas and electric. Now there's an electric mode which forces it into a full EV mode if you have enough battery power, and there's an e-save mode which tries to force it into the gas mode to conserve battery to be used later. I've been driving mostly hybrid around town, but I also have had a few chances to put it into full electric. In one of them, I started from my house in Lake Forest, California, and I drove to get my haircut at my barber's shop in Costa Mesa, driving on 2 different freeways to get there, 405 to the 73, if you know your freeways around here. I went full electric the whole trip, and it was awesome. There's something to be said about driving a Wrangler around silently. That was really cool. At 80 miles per hour on the freeway, no trouble getting up to speed. It was great. I had to use gas to get back because I pretty much used up all the battery getting there, but that's not what this is about. It was just a cool thing to do. Now for the freeway journeys, I kept it in hybrid on the way there. And you drain the battery pretty quickly, but you're expecting to on a trip like that. My family and I, so that means this Jeep was loaded down with my wife, my kid, our dog who's 63 pounds, and all of our stuff for a weekend away. And I averaged 18 miles per gallon to and from. So that's a lot of freeway use with a fully loaded Jeep Wrangler. When I went and used electric mode to get to my barber, it was funny because the screen was showing me an average of almost 41 miles per gallon in a Wrangler, which is just insane. But for the rest of the trip, the Jeep was awesome. June Lake is where we went. It's about 350 miles in each direction. So a good drive, a good long drive. And it was beautiful along California's 395 freeway. So we're talking through Lone Pine, through Independence, through Bishop, on out past Mammoth to June Lake to this beautiful spot of California. And the Jeep performed flawlessly. It was great to be able to put it into electric mode when I needed it. I could regen battery to get some back by using the save mode and the e-save mode. And then the rest of the driving dynamics are familiar Jeep. This is a Rubicon. It's a little bit loose on center, which you expect on the road. It drives like a Jeep. Nothing about that is different. But the actual ride itself is nice, and it's not that bouncy, and I think a lot of that is because the weight of the battery pack and the motor helps soak up some of the ride and make it a little bit nicer out on the road. Now, this is unlimited, so the wheelbase is nice too for that as well. But again, the steering feels no different than any other Jeep. I don't gripe about it as much as some other people do. Some people just straight out hate it. Since my daily driver is a 91 Montero, I'm used to somewhat looser steering. So I'm never shocked to get in a Wrangler and be like, how is this allowed? But yeah, it is. I mean, it's pretty, you know what it is. It's a Wrangler, you know what you're getting with. But those are the compromises you make to have a vehicle that is so capable and so good at doing what it can do off-road. And again, even though this has all the complications of the extra, the electric motor, the battery pack, all that stuff, the charging port, it's still a Rubicon, and it can still go anywhere. It still has all the specs of a Rubicon. Now, speaking of the hybrid power, what are we dealing with that respect? Well, we've got a 2-liter Turbo 4, which is my favorite engine currently offered outside of the 392 in the Wrangler family. I just think it is a perfect match for this vehicle. I like it better than the 3.6. I like it a little bit better than the diesel, even though the diesel is pretty good. But the turbo, it just snaps off the line. It feels the liveliest of the engines. Now you pair that with the electric motor. Well, that engine is backed up by the 8-speed gearbox. It's an automatic, and I prefer the 8-speed over the manual in the Wrangler anyway, because the clutch and the shifter in the Wrangler needs some love. And I guess the aftermarket can solve some of those issues pretty easily, but from the factory, I don't recommend the manual. I recommend the 8-speed. Now, pair that 4-cylinder engine with the electric bits, and you have a Jeep making plenty of great power and great torque, and it is perfectly suited for this application. So with all that power sorted, let's talk about price. You don't expect this to be inexpensive. The base price of this one is $53,000 as tested. This one is $66,000. Now, that doesn't shock me. Jeep Wranglers have risen dramatically in price over the last few years, and people pay them, and this is how much Jeeps cost now, and this is not even close to the most expensive Jeep. So you're getting a fully loaded Rubicon with the added bonus of electric range for $66,000. That price makes sense to me. I mean, it's expensive. This is an expensive thing, but it can also make sense for what it is and what people are paying. So I'm not shocked by the price. Is it high? Yes. Is it appropriate for what this is? Sure. Yeah. And I'm curious how many of these Jeep is going to sell, because I think it's a really cool option. Being able to plug in and drive. If you have one of these and your daily commute is enough to not have to kick into the gas engine, that'd be amazing. That would be really fun to do. And then on the weekends, just go rip off into the woods and drive it, like the normal Wrangler it is. It just has the added bonus of the electric bits, and they work well. And I really like this thing. I gotta say, if you're looking at the Wrangler family and you've considered the 4xe, I think you should really consider it if you have the money to spend on one of these. This thing, I expect it to come away mixed, and I am not mixed. I really like the Wrangler 4xe. Would I take a 392 over it? Yeah, because I'm an idiot. But the smarter choice is the 4xe. So if you are not an idiot, maybe get the 4xe. And if you are a wonderful idiot like me, maybe spend a little extra and get the 392. Either way, Jeep's making some cool stuff right now. All right, so I just recorded a whole thing and the audio wasn't on, so I'm redoing it. Here we go. That sucked.